Hey everybody, it's almost noon. It's time for Straight Talk. I'm on a couple minutes early to see who joins us. We're going to be talking about being in balance today. So it should be a good day. Let's see who's joining us. So it's interesting because, this time of year is an exciting time. It's a great time for kind of a restart, a fresh start. September, the kids are going back to school. We're all getting out of our summer kind of, hi Heather, it's good to see you. We're all getting out of our sort of summer vacation mode. Even if we weren't vacationing, we were working. We sometimes have shorter hours and our kids are off school and there's just a whole interruption to what our normal routines and schedules are. So so one of the things that you need to be aware of is now that you're transitioning, anytime that we are transitioning from one place to another, from one place, whether it's physical move or it's a mental move, it's a career move, whatever it is, it's an emotional move, it's a move from not being as scheduled as we were into being more scheduled, there's always a chance that we go unbalanced. And it's really, really important. Most of you know I'm a productivity coach. I coach people in how to be more productive, how to get their dreams, all of that. Hopefully those of you that are doing the 7-day intensive are loving it and have seen great results. I'd love to hear about what you're doing. But one of the biggest pitfalls or hurdles that I see is that transition time. So whenever people are transitioning from one thing to another, it becomes very, very difficult sometimes to maintain your productivity and maintain your balance. So what we're going to be talking about today is about rebooting. Part of balance is taking care of your mental health, not just your mental health as far as like, are you not depressed? Are you feeling good? But also like feeding your mind the things that you need that empower you. So are you, watching podcasts or reading something that empowers you? Are you feeding your mind things that are going to bolster you in what you're moving towards in your life? So that's the first part. The second part is physical. Are you eating right? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you taking care of yourself the way you need to? And then the third one is emotional. Are you getting the things that you need as far as, taking care of yourself, time off, time with friends, time to do what I call rebooting yourself. And that's one of the biggest things that we are, binge watching The Walking Dead, Will, is not necessarily rebooting, because binge watching in itself indicates that it's probably not a healthy response. But, okay, wait, I'm going to do this because I'm getting distracted by the words. But anyway, maybe having an allocated downtime, and if you binge watch The Walking Dead or some other show, if you allocate that time, then it could definitely be a reboot. But there needs to be a beginning time and an ending time, and binge watching indicates it's binging, and you're just getting lost in it. So, but that emotional thing, that emotional piece, that emotional circle. So like if you imagine mental, physical, and emotional in 3 different circles, and you overlap those circles, that centerpiece, look, I did a little thing. Woo, see that? I'm such a good artist. That little centerpiece right there, that is where productivity happens. When you're balanced, when you're taking care of yourself, when you're doing all the things that you need to be doing, and that's not just emotionally and mentally, it's also physical. You're taking care of your physical needs through diet and exercise and all that, and you're balanced. So that's where balance happens. And what happens a lot of times is when you are when you're moving into a transition, like school, for instance, and I'm talking about this because I have been so out of balance the last 5 days. It's been crazy, and I actually got sick yesterday and the day before because I haven't been taking care of balancing those 3 circles. So I thought, well, this is a great way to talk about it. Great reason to talk about it. So it's easy to fall out of balance when you're in transition. And for me, what's happened over the last 2 weeks is that my daughter's schedule has changed. So my schedule has changed because a lot of times I work around her schedule because I like to be a working at home mom and working with her. So I have gotten out of balance because I haven't taken care of those three parts and made sure that they've stayed balanced. So I want you to kind of look at, like, if you're feeling out of balance right now, what is it? Where are you feeling the most out of balance? Is it mental? Is it physical? Is it emotional? And how do you get back in balance? Well, how you get back in balance is you actually look at where it is that you're out and you put your integrity back in. You know, I'm a huge fan of integrity. If you're suffering in any way, or if you're out of balance in any way, it's because your integrity is probably out in one of those three circles, or maybe a little bit in all of them. So what you have to do is look at, where do I need to put my integrity back in? And you start with one thing. You don't need to overanalyze it or get analysis paralysis and start, you know, like making some big plan. Just pick one thing and get it back into integrity. And then pick another thing, get it back into integrity, and you'll start feeling balanced as you do that. So the other thing that's really important is to just never get out of balance. And one of the things, the thing that I love most, and those of you that I've coached before might roll your eyes, but you know what it is: time blocking. I love time blocking. And if you are out of balance, what I can guarantee you is that you're either not time blocking, Will Chrisman, or you are not managing it well. So when you time block, basically what that is it's blocking time in your schedule for everything that you are requiring of yourself. So everything that you're required to do. So you're time blocking your routines, you're time blocking your goals, you're time blocking your job hours, you're time blocking your family commitments, that kind of thing. So you're literally putting them in like an appointment into your calendar. And this is something that I went over extensively in my 7-day intensive. If you weren't able to sign up for it yet, go to my website, produceamazingresults.com, sign up. It's a free course, and it will tell you all about it. But if you're out of balance, what might be happening is that you're over time blocking. So you're either not time blocking at all, that's on this end, or you're over time blocking and you're not leaving yourself enough white space. And what I call this is reboot time. So we know that sometimes with all of the electronic devices that we use, they get messed up. And I am not a scientist or a computer expert, but what I can tell you is I almost always can fix the problem that I'm having. Whether my iPhone is freezing or my computer isn't responding, my cursor's not showing up, I can almost always, 99% of the time, fix whatever problem I'm having with that computer or that iPhone by turning it off, shutting it down, and rebooting it. And that's exactly what you need to do with yourself. And maybe you end up doing that when you are getting overwhelmed. You know, that whole binge watching The Walking Dead thing is a function of being overwhelmed. And so then you shut down and you're rebooting, but it's not intentional. So that's the problem with binge watching The Walking Dead, is it's not an intentional action to reboot yourself. It is more like a response. Like yesterday, I was sick. I was having asthma issues. And it was interesting because I had a conversation with my husband. I said, I just have no room to breathe right now. And I wasn't talking about asthma. I was talking about just how scheduled I am and how much I have to do and all of the things on my plate right now that I'm trying to balance. And it's interesting that I used those words. It's no accident that I've been sick the last 2 days because I haven't been properly time blocking. So I haven't allowed for enough time to sit and reboot and do the things that reboot me. So what is rebooting? So how do you reboot yourself, right? That's the trick, is how do you reboot yourself? So what you need to do is you need to reboot yourself by looking at the things that actually fill you up and kind of have you rest. Like, Will, that's a perfect one. Doing your art is a great thing that reboots you. That is absolutely great. Reading books reboot you. So find some of the activities that you, Heather, I love that. And your calendar looks like pocket Skittles. That's true. And that is why we get so overwhelmed and we get so overwrought and we get tired. And then we wonder, like 10 days from now, oh my gosh, I hate my life. all of that feeds into you being out of balance. So it's really important that you set boundaries and that you set time. It's just as important to meet with XYZ about funding as it is for you to take time to take care of yourself. So what's crucial is that you set that reboot time in your calendar. And maybe you don't know what it's going to look like, but you have to look at, for me, I've seen on the news a ton of stuff just published about people being extroverted introverts, right? That's what I am. And you think just because I'm talking on camera, I'm vivacious, I'm assertive, all of those things, people that know me, anytime I tell them this, they laugh at me. But I am an extroverted introvert. What happens is if I'm spending tons of time interacting with people, coaching people, going to different things, meeting with people, doing things at church, doing volunteer work, doing all of this stuff, what happens is I get sucked dry. Like my energy tank literally gets depleted. And I have to be by myself in order to refill that. There's only really a couple activities that reboot me that are with other people. Most of the time, me being rebooted is alone. Like I need alone time, I need to craft, I need to do something creative, I need to watch a movie, I need to watch a show, that kind of thing. There are some people that I have in my life that when I have conversations with them, I do feel energized, but I still need that downtime. So it's important that you look at your schedule, especially for you, Heather, when you're saying it looks like pocket Skittles or puked. Oh, it's puked Skittles. And I have my glasses on too. It looks like puked Skittles. That's hilarious. So when it looks like that, you have to look at your calendar and reboot your whole calendar and go, I'm too busy. I need to take some of these things out. Something's got to go. You are in charge of drawing your boundaries. And if your schedule looks like puked Skittles, then you need to have some white space. And then in that white space, you literally just schedule in reboot time and you figure out what are the things that give me energy. Now, I can tell you, I love my kids and I love my husband, but most of the time they do not give me energy. They take energy from me because that's part of my job, is being a wife and being a mother. So reboot time is completely selfish, but you have to remember, and that's the problem, especially with somebody like Heather, because she runs a nonprofit that makes a huge difference in the world. She's not going to take time to be selfish. But the problem is if we don't take time to reboot ourselves and we don't take the time that we need, either alone time or hobby time or reading time or just going away time, we don't have the capacity to do what we do to make others' lives better. So if we're not caring for ourselves as a resource, then what happens is things start to go bad and we start to drop things out, we start to be irresponsible, and people can't necessarily trust our word. So we're damaging the resource that we are, and we're damaging kind of what our message is in the world. So today, what I'm going to encourage you is for you to take a look at that schedule, take a look at that calendar, take a look at what you have coming up for the next 10 days and see, is it something that's reasonable? Are you getting enough sleep? Do you have time to eat lunch? Are you meal planning? Doing all those things that you think are a luxury, they're crucial because you can't function if you're not taking care of you as a resource. And that's really important. And balance goes out so fast. It's just like losing weight, right? It takes 7 days to lose 1.5 pounds, but then you drink or eat over the weekend and you gain 3. I don't know why that is. It is so not fair, but it's the same thing with balance. If you don't protect your balance, if you don't stay in balance, it's so hard to get back in. It's so easy to get out, but so hard to get back in. So I just want you to be, again, my whole premise is, one of my whole premises in my business is to be awake. You need to be awake to the things that are taking you out of balance. And what I assert is that most of the time, the thing that takes you out of balance is that you are not taking care of yourself. You're not rebooting. So your activity, your homework this week is to take a look at that schedule, put in some reboot time. Figure out the activities in your life that do reboot you and start putting those in. You must take care of yourself as a resource. And in order for you to stay in balance, you have to tend to that mental, that physical, and that emotional piece so that you can function in that perfect place of balance, which is when all of them are working. So make it an amazing week. Make sure you stay in balance and take some time to reboot yourself, because you will just be amazed at when you put some weekly structures in. And maybe you need daily structures. Like maybe what you need is an hour alone every day. I don't know. You have to look at that for yourself, whether it's daily, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever. But when you set those up, you'll be amazed at how much more you have to give than you currently do. Because when you're running at effect, it takes away from your ability to cause and make a difference in the world. So make it an amazing week. And I can't wait to hear how things are going.